In the quiet town of Hollow Creek, Pennsylvania, stood a house people only spoke of in whispers. A three-story Victorian mansion with faded white paint peeling from its wooden walls, broken shutters swinging even on windless days, and windows that looked like hollow, watching eyes. For decades, no family stayed inside for more than a month. Those who did either vanished or were found dead in unspeakable ways. Locals called it the murder house. But the truth was darker than any rumor. The house itself was alive, and the ghosts inside were thirsty for new souls. In 2022, the Henderson family moved in. Mark Henderson, a middle-aged history professor, thought stories about haunted houses were silly superstitions. His wife, Claire, was a real estate agent who bought the property for almost nothing, convinced she could flip it for a massive profit. With them came their children, Emily, age 16, rebellious and moody, and Lucas, 10, quiet but strangely intuitive. The first night, Emily said she heard footsteps in the attic, heavy, dragging steps, though no one had gone upstairs. Lucas claimed a man stood by his bed, whispering, "Don't stay here, or you'll never leave." Mark dismissed it, but the house was only beginning to wake up. On the third night, Claire went down to the basement to check a leaking pipe. She returned pale, shaking. The concrete wall had red stains dripping down, though the pipe was bone dry. Later, Emily found words scrawled on her mirror in condensation, though she hadn't showered. "We are still here." Mark argued it was kids from the neighborhood sneaking in, but when he checked the locks, every door and window was sealed tight from the inside. That night, a scream ripped through the house. They found Lucas standing in the hallway, shaking violently, his small hands covered in fresh blood. On the wall beside him was a crude drawing of stick figures hung from trees. A week later, the Hendersons invited neighbors for dinner, hoping to silence the growing fear. Among them was Sheriff Dalton, who warned jokingly, "If you hear crying in the night, don't go looking for it." But at 2 a.m., Claire heard a baby wailing from the downstairs parlor. Against her better judgment, she went. The crying stopped the moment she entered. The room was empty, except for an old rocking chair moving back and forth on its own. Claire turned to leave, but the door slammed shut. A shadowy figure with hollow eyes emerged from the dark. It rushed her, and before she could scream, she felt icy hands wrap around her throat. Mark found her in the morning, her body hanging from the chandelier, neck snapped, but the rocking chair still creaked, as if mocking him. Desperate, Mark researched the property. What he discovered made his blood run cold. In 1894, the mansion was owned by Dr. Silas Crowley, a physician who secretly ran a sanatorium for the insane in the basement. Patients were tortured, lobotomized, and dissected alive in the name of science. When the townspeople discovered his crimes, they stormed the house. But Dr. Crowley locked the doors and set the place on fire, killing over 30 men, women, and children trapped inside. Their charred remains were never recovered. The house was rebuilt over the ashes, but everyone who ever lived there since had died violently. Locals believed the spirits of Crowley's victims still roamed the halls, angry, vengeful, murderous. The hauntings escalated. Objects hurled across rooms, doors slammed shut, lights flickered violently. Emily awoke one night to find her room splattered with blood. Lucas stopped speaking entirely, only scribbling drawings of black figures dragging people into walls. One evening, Mark heard pounding from the basement. Against his instincts, he went down. The smell of rot hit him instantly. In the far corner, he saw a figure in a doctor's coat, mask cracked, eyes glowing faintly red. "The experiment continues," it hissed, before lunging at him. Mark barely escaped, slamming the basement door, but later that night, he heard Claire's voice calling softly from downstairs. When he went to investigate, he found her corpse walking, still twisted, face purple, but smiling. "Stay with us, Mark, forever." The house claimed them one by one. Emily was dragged into the attic, her screams echoing as neighbors watched helplessly from outside, unable to enter. The windows sealed themselves shut with black tar-like ooze. Mark tried to flee with Lucas, but every exit led them back into the same hallway, the walls shifting like a maze. The wallpaper peeled, revealing rotting faces screaming silently from within. In the end, Mark's body was found nailed to the basement wall, his chest carved open with symbols no one could recognize. Emily and Lucas were never found. Epilogue: The New Owners. Months later, a new for sale sign went up. A young couple from out of state bought the place cheap. They laughed at the legends. On their first night, the neighbors heard screams again, but no one went near. The house at Hollow Creek waits still, its hunger eternal, its ghosts restless, feeding on every soul foolish enough to step inside.
Thank you. We hope you guys fell the horror. Please subscribe to our channel.